All right. Welcome to the Skin in the Game podcast. This is our inaugural episode. I'm so excited. I'm Sorrel Jones Cooper, family nurse practitioner, and I've been focused in aesthetic medicine for the past 8 years. And I'm so excited to bring this podcast to demystify, to explore all
Yes.
things beauty and aesthetics with a special interest, a special focus on skin of color. We're going to talk about everybody, but we're going to delve a little bit more into skin of color
Yes.
because that's a topic that needs some attention. I am super excited to be joined by my colleague, beautiful woman by the name of Michelle German. She and I actually have never met.
Today's the first day, but I feel like I know you.
Absolutely, right? Because I tell people like we've been admiring each other's work and like bigging each other up on social for years.
Yes.
And it's so cool. I was so excited when you agreed to come on with me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, admittedly, a little nervous. It's the first time I'm doing this, but I thought our energy as well as our expertise, both in aesthetics and in entrepreneurship, would be a great kickoff
Yeah.
for this podcast.
1000%.
Awesome. So, I will talk about my business in a moment, but I want to start with you.
Sure.
I'd love for you to just tell us who you are, tell us a little bit about your business, and what inspired you to start your journey in aesthetics.
Absolutely. My name is Michelle German, as you stated, and I am a physician assistant that specializes in aesthetic medicine. And I have been in the industry 9 years. It'll be 10 years next year, which seems insane to me, but I love the industry.
Yeah.
I am the aesthetic director and partner at Capital Aesthetic and Laser Center. And then I also have my own skincare line called German Aesthetics. So I was bitten by the beauty bug at a very young age and was blessed to be able to find my career and calling after finishing PA school and being in family medicine. Like I found my niche and I have never left. Like I found it and I was like, these are my people. This is my community. And
I love it.
Yeah, I've been here ever since.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
So 9 years.
9 years.
Time flies, right?
It does.
I know. I was recently thinking about the fact that I've been in the industry for 8 years, and I was like, how? Like, how did that even happen?
I know.
So, just a little background about me. Sorrel Jones Cooper, as I mentioned, I am the CEO and founder or co-founder of Haus Aesthetics and Plastic Surgery. I'm so excited. We just opened doors as the inaugural aesthetics and plastic surgery practice on Capitol Hill.
Yes.
So it's kind of crazy that such an awesome community like Capitol Hill was not serviced, but we are more than blessed to be there. We are all Black and female owned.
I love it.
Yeah, that's like a big piece of excitement.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, so we all offer all things, medical grade skincare, the same things that you do, aesthetics, medical injectables. And then we do have a plastic surgery arm as well,
That's sweet.
which is super exciting.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we got the pleasantries done.
Yes.
All right. So I basically would love to start with talking about how your experience, you've been in the industry for 9 years. You said that you were bitten by the beauty bug years ago.
Very early, yes.
How has your experience as a woman of color informed your practice and even like your, decision to enter the role, as well as how you treat your patients of color?
That's a great question. I feel like, I'm a Black woman. So like that I lead with that regardless if I want to lead with it, because this is just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And getting started in the industry, I was blessed to be able to get under the mentorship of a Black dermatologist who really opened my eyes and my world. Because as a person of color, thank God I grew up with pretty okay skin. I never really had to see a dermatologist, but just getting into the world, I didn't necessarily even know the options of things and treatments that we had if we did have issues. And even if you don't have issues, like seeing, again, the treatments and the options that we can do to just sort of make our skin better and put our best foot forward and lead with this sort of facet that is beauty based, but also health and healthcare based.
Yeah.
It has been, an incredible journey. And like I said, like I am a Black woman, so I lead with that, and grateful to have the history that I have. But given the history, given who I am, I always want to make sure that I am taking care of my community and making sure that like the education that I have is available to my community, and
Mhm.
the treatments that I have are geared towards my community because in this industry we are minority and we are not always
Absolutely.
represented. I think that it has come. I see the growth.
We're
We're
growing for
growing.
sure.
We're definitely growing. But we still have so far to go. Like I feel like I talk to my reps all the time. Like I need marketing materials with people that look like me. Like
Yes.
I need to see myself. I need to see myself represented. So I always want to make sure that wherever I am, what I'm doing, I am representing that community and making sure that people know that we are here for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that you brought up your interaction with reps because I have felt like until very recently I always had to be the squeaky wheel, right? Always had to be the one in the room like, "Hi, what about skin of color?
Yes.
Hi, how does
Yes.
this affect us?
Absolutely.
Hi, have you tested this on anybody who
Exactly.
has, like a darker shade of skin?"
Yeah.
It's always been a conversation. I remember I feel like there was this reckoning. I mean, it was like a national reckoning, right, in 2020,
Sure.
where
Black Lives
companies,
Matter.
corporations absolutely just kind of realized, like, all right, maybe we need to pay a little bit more attention. And
Yes.
aesthetics kind of followed suit, I
Mhm.
would say maybe like 21
Sure.
into 22.
Sure.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I would.
And prior to that, having conversations with reps, and they'd be like, "Oh, here's this sunscreen. It's good for all skin types," and I'd rub a little bit on and be like, "Absolutely not,"
Don't get
right?
me started with the sunscreens.
Right? Or treatments. Having reps tell me for devices, "Oh, this treatment is safe
Safe.
to skin type 5," and quoting like referencing J Lo as a 5, and I was
Mhm.
like, right,
Mhm.
so okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So we
get so
understand that, yes,
You're
whether
on the
she's a
same
5 or
page.
not, that's arguable. But even if she is, I'm a 5, you're a 5. So
Exactly.
obviously the same treatments are not going to be
It's not the
appropriate,
same.
right?
It's not the
So
same.
yeah, like I think that that's kind of cool. What ways do you feel like the industry has changed to be more inclusive? And like, where do you think that things are still needed, some improvement and growth is needed?
Well, yeah, I definitely think that we still need the improvement. Areas wherein I feel like it has changed, I think, are in the marketing materials. At least this is where I can see it, right?
Hmm.
So prior to, I wouldn't see any person of color on marketing materials, and it's like you're missing out on a market. And I think that I am seeing more diversity in that sort of thing, where I think that we still need help in the diversity and inclusion area is just like representation, like at conferences or speaking engagements. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why am I going to a conference and there is not a sort of segment for skin of color, because skin of color is different. And like you mentioned with the reps and lasers, like sometimes they're coming in and they are taught and trained in a certain way, and if their
Right.
training says that this is working on every skin type and this is what they're repeating, but you and I know the science, right? And we
Right.
know that certain lasers cannot be used on certain skin types. I don't care what you
Absolutely.
tell me how safe they say it is. It's like, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's going to be safe, but you're going to have a side effect. You're going to hyperpigment, you're going to burn, like something is going to
Hmm.
happen. So I think that there's still so much more room to grow when it comes down to them categorizing treatments and lasers and machines just to say this is for everyone when we know in fact it isn't.
For
Like,
sure.
it's like I think that it's about the education piece of it, and if they don't know how skin of color works and how our melanin works in these capacities, then they're going to just be ignorant and say this is great for everyone when we know better,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely. And don't you think that also there's more representation needed on the research side of
Oh,
things?
absolutely.
Like I continue, and I think it's circular because there is aesthetic industry in general has a difficult time recruiting patients of color,
Of
particularly
course.
African American
Yeah.
patients, for their studies,
Mhm.
right? And it's because the familiarity is not there, the
Mhm.
trust needs building,
Right.
and I think that that comes from representation in the field, from
Yes, I agree.
understanding that this is for them, that
Yep.
like we get this. I have
Yep.
the conversation every single week with patients,
Mhm.
at least one who's like, "I didn't think Black women did this," and I'm like,
Exactly.
"But we do, right?"
Yes.
And the
Yes.
fact that that is still that I'm having that conversation every week. I know you're probably having that conversation very regularly.
Yes.
It means that there is still not enough of like a welcoming environment, enough inclusion in terms of the message that goes out so that people know that this is for everyone. Because the other piece is like, yeah, exactly what you said. When these products come out, when these devices come out, a lot of times they have to report on what they have studied, their sample sizes, right? And what the sample size and the sample is. And if the sample is very limited, they actually cannot speak to how this would affect us. But that conversation always needs to be a part, right?
Yes.
A part of the overall pitch, right? And the considerations. So I think that's super important as well. And I wonder who we have to talk to.
I wonder, honestly, because I'm like, you are so right. When I think about how we are represented, it's like, yes, we need to be on the research side so that the product, the device, it's in our hands and we are using it on the community so that they can see, like, this works here. Like, this is okay in this space. Because otherwise, it's like, you're just left up in the air and hoping and wishing, which is not
exactly.
the case,
It's just this big question mark. And I don't want my patients to be guinea pigs. I'm sure you don't either.
Absolutely
Yeah. I've definitely just flat out refused to administer certain treatments that just didn't have enough education and enough research done on patients of color, because I could see some of the side effects in Caucasian patients and was like, this would be so much more greatly extrapolated. In our patients, I'm like, I'm good. Right? Like, I'm just not even taking anybody down that road.
100%. I agree.
Switching gears a little bit, how do you think, so when we have the conversation about like the differences in skin, it is a surprise to a lot of non-skin of color people that there actually is a difference in our skin.
They're like, oh, you can't do this. And we're like, no.
Right. Or even just the concept, right? Like that our skin needs different things. How do you feel that cultural perceptions of beauty amongst different ethnic groups affect or like influence what we do as providers when you're seeing patients? Because I know you see everybody just like I do. When you're seeing patients, what kind of considerations do you bring to the table based on their cultural group, their ethnicity?
I think that it's important to sort of note your ethnicity and your cultural background, because things are just different, right? The way that I treat a 55-year-old Caucasian woman is going to be different than I treat a 55-year-old African American woman, because their skin is different. Our melanin has protected us in a way. Like, our melanin is a beautiful thing. So I think that you just always have to keep those sort of cultural references in mind when you're doing treatments. And I think that I'm sort of bouncing around because I'm thinking about the skin type, the skincare part of it, as well as the sort of injectable part of it too, right? Because it's twofold. Wherein skin is skin, we all have it. Like, the sort of way that I am treating hyperpigmentation is going to be different in a person of color versus somebody that is not a person of color. But again, the injectable part of it, right? Because I have our shapes, the face shape is different, like the actual foundation. And I think that it's important to me and a lot of the clients that I serve want to sort of like look refreshed and still look like themselves.
That part.
Versus everyone looking the same, which I think happens, especially like on the West Coast with Hollywood and stuff like that. Like, it's like, you can get caught up in that with trends that happen in aesthetics. But I just think that it's important to just always pay attention to the ethnicity and the cultural reference of the person.
For sure, because our beauty ideals are very different.
Yes,
right?
Although they try to make them the same.
Oh my gosh. Were you? I know you were. I'm asking, but for the sake of the podcast, but I already know that you were horrified learning the golden ratio for lips, right?
Oh, yes.
And being like hello, that does not apply to us.
No, it does not.
Right. So for listeners, the perfect ratio, the golden ratio, which was designed by Leonardo da Vinci, some years ago, it's supposed to be sort of the measure, the perfect ratio for defining beauty in everything, in aesthetics and faces and nature, everywhere.
Everywhere.
And there is a golden ratio that has been defined for the face, for the perfect proportions in the face, right? But we understand that, like in certain areas of the face, especially mobile areas like the lips, that everybody does not have the same exact goal.
Exactly.
But forever,
Yeah.
we were being taught a certain way. And
Exactly.
again, had to be the squeaky wheel to be like, hey, that's not true of
Right.
everyone. Yeah, I think to your point, we definitely have to consider all things, but especially the cultural references, because one thing that I think is major in our community that kind of keeps us away from this conversation about aesthetics is the history of people, prominent figures in our community who have had plastic surgery that have made them look so different from
I
themselves,
know.
right?
Those are the
And
scaries.
so, right, the scaries, but that's what people reference. And
I
for the
know.
longest, it was this idea that if you wanted to pursue aesthetics or plastic surgery, that it was because you didn't love yourself, you didn't love being Black, right?
Yeah.
We think it back to Michael Jackson, we think to people like Little Kim who have a completely different face from how we met
I
them.
know, so sad.
And they can't part from their ideas from that, right? And so, yeah, I agree with you. When I meet with patients, we're talking about the fact that, like, I use different products depending on your skin type, the weight of your skin, what area we're treating, what your baseline physiology and anatomy is, all of that, right? So that they understand that, like, the goal is to keep you looking like yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes, absolutely. We want to basically kind of like turn the hands of time back a little bit and then pause it,
Yes.
right?
Refresh you.
And
Just
keep it right there for a
exactly.
while.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's scary, that prospect. And even more recently, right? Like, I hate to call our celebrities out, but the Vivica Foxes of the world. Recently, Jada did something to her face that we were kind of like, what's going on, right? She's beautiful still, but it's a noticeable difference
Exactly.
that people are kind of like, what's that about?
Because they come and asking about it, right? Like I definitely have people coming in all the time referencing these celebrities
Yeah.
because this is what they see and they think of when they are thinking about aesthetics and treatments, and they're like, I don't want to look like Jada. I don't want to look like and it's like this is where the education part comes in,
Right.
right? Because it's like you don't have like these are extreme cases, and I don't know exactly what's happening with each one of them, but I do know that whomever their provider was and is, they're not looking at it with a holistic sort of like mindset, right?
Exactly.
And I think that with us, it is very important for us to manage expectations
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to these treatments, because like at the end of the day, we are the professional and we know what is best for the client in regards to what it is that we can perform, because it's our work. I think about it all the
100%.
time as like art and beauty. So it's like if I don't really like love what you're asking for my painting and my like, I'm not going to
Right.
do it because it's my
Exactly.
work. But I think that though, like it's the reference. The celebrities are the things that they think about, and it's just up to us to sort of provide that education for them so that they know that they do not have to go so extreme.
For
It could
sure.
just be like there's so many natural alternatives out there.
Yes.
Like it's just so many things you can have life changing results with just great skincare.
Absolutely.
Consistent skincare is like key for me. I'm always preaching that first
Yeah.
before we do anything. Like, do you have a great skincare regimen in place? Because I
Right.
can do these treatments on you, but like, are you going to be able to keep it up with your skincare?
Right.
This is important.
Your injectables can only go as far as your skin will allow, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So, yeah, I love that. That's exactly that piece about education is foundational. It's super important. And I always say, like, no shade to what the celebrities are doing. If that works for them, that's cool. But
Sure.
the other piece for me is that people often don't realize, because of how accessible information about aesthetics is, like in popular culture, that like we're medical professionals
First.
right? Like we actually have a responsibility, a
Yes.
legal
Yes.
responsibility
Yes.
to do no harm
Exactly.
and
We all take an
to
oath.
100%, right? And to provide what we deem to be the best care for our patients. So that's important too. I know I take my craft extremely seriously. I tell people all the time I'm obsessed with keeping my patients looking like themselves,
Yeah,
right? And
same.
to your point, if someone comes in asking me for something that's inappropriate, I'm like, I'm sorry, because I can't have you out here
No.
saying Sorel injected you and you look nuts.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Like, oh
not
my
gonna
gosh, yes,
work.
that injector. And it's like, don't you do
No,
that.
no, we can't. That's not gonna fly. That's not gonna fly.
Exactly.
So I love that. So the other thing that I really wanted to delve into here is a conversation about entrepreneurship, because I think we're a little bit unicorny, if you will, in
Yeah.
our industry. There are, as we mentioned in the beginning, not that many of us to begin with. And then those of us that are creating practices, this is like not a small thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people, I know that there are people who want to know more about this process. First, I'd love to chat with you about your skincare line, because I'm super
Yes, my baby.
intrigued and super excited about that for
Yes.
you. So I'd love for you to give us a little bit about that, and then maybe we
Yes.
can chat about like our experiences in business.
For sure. I mean, my skincare line is my baby. I started it, I mean, it actually came to birth in 2020, but I have been working on it since about 2017
Wow.
and just working to find different formulations and different labs to make sure that I had the right thing. But it all came from that original inspiration in wanting to be able to provide my community with the quality skincare that I had just found out about, that I didn't know existed. Like I've always been a beauty girl, but I have been in Sephora and like in the makeup aisle. But like to know once I got into aesthetics and knowing what great quality skincare could do, my mind
Yeah.
was blown, and I wanted to share that knowledge. So I was very much so like fired up and
I love
ignited
that.
to bring something to my community.
Hmm.
And German Aesthetic Skincare was born in 2020. My baby. I
Wow.
love it. It's very small, I think, in the grand scheme of like the skincare just business because
Sure.
it is huge. And I feel like I don't even have, like, I'm a sliver of the market, but
That's where it starts.
it's where it starts. And
Mhm.
honestly, like, because of like why I started it, I think that like it fuels me in a way that I am just like so proud of it. And I love that I am able to just like provide products to people and give them the education behind skincare because we all need it.
Yeah.
Like we all need great skincare and consistency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
been,
Thank you. Thank
like I
you.
said, admiring from afar, and I just think it's so awesome. So, can you walk us through some of the products that you have, just so we have a better
Yes, yes,
understanding
yes.
what's
I
included?
have a few cleansers. I have two cleansers, two moisturizers. I have like I wanted to keep things basic, especially just to start. I might expand,
Sure.
but I also have retinol products because I think that retinol is a magic product in skincare in general because
Transformative.
it is anti-aging and also helps with breakouts and
Mhm.
acne and dark spots. So I have two retinols also.
Okay.
My sort of like powerhouse products are my serums. I have a hyaluronic acid serum, and you know that
Mm.
hyaluronic acid everyone needs. It is hydrating, great for all skin types,
Yeah.
especially going into these colder months.
Sure.
And then my hero product that was my first thing that I like, my first formulation
Yeah.
is a vitamin C serum.
Okay.
And vitamin C serum is just special to me because that was like the first professional skincare product that I
Mhm.
owned, like getting into aesthetics. And I
Yeah.
saw the transformation that my own skin had with it. Like I was like, oh, like again, I never really had problematic skin, but using vitamin C, I had a brightness, I had a glow, and I was like, oh, I like this.
Like,
This
she's
is
cute. I
yeah,
love it.
this is nice. So I have those two serums also, and then I also have two forms of exfoliators. One of them is just like a gentle acid
Sure.
blend because we it's like a chemical exfoliant that is great for oily skin types, people on the go. It's in the form of like almost like a pad that you can just wipe your face down with. And then
Yeah.
I also have an even tone pad that helps out hyperpigmentation because that is a major problem in our community.
For sure. What's the active in your even tone pad?
Glycolic, lactic, and salicylic. It's like
Nice.
a little
So you
dry
almost, yeah,
acid
you got a
blend.
little acne control happening in there
Exactly.
too. I
Acne
love
control, oil
that.
control,
Yes.
gentle exfoliation. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So then I want to chat just a little bit also about your journey as an entrepreneur. Just give us some of like the highs and lows
Yeah.
in, yeah, these years since you started
I know,
your
you know,
practice.
the highs, I think will continue to come, and the highs always come with what I do, like the actual service that I provide. Um, and the feedback that I get from those services, like those are always my high moments, because when someone comes in and they're telling me how much they like have transformed and how great they feel about themselves, that really does just ignite me.
Yeah.
Um, those Entrepreneurship is hard.
Girl, say it again.
I mean, that is it. But I think that it's worth it, right? Like, I can't imagine my life any other way. But I know that I could only be on this entrepreneurship journey because I love it, like because it's my passion. If it wasn't my passion, I'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult, but
that part.
I think there's a verse that says, "To whom much is given, much is required," and I think that I just kind of take that with me, because I do feel very blessed to be able to have found my niche with aesthetics and meshing aesthetics with medicine and skincare. It's like it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I love that.
so-
Yeah, in that same vein, we are super excited to be able to be a resource to the community.
Absolutely.
And similar to you, this is something I'm extremely passionate about. I never had a professional passion. I always liked what I did, but I never felt like I could do this forever. I would do this for free. Like I mean, I won't do it for free, but I could do it for free. I love aesthetics to that degree, right? And it's amazing to be able to translate that. You always hear about people being able to do that in life, and until you're there, you're like, you can't really imagine what it felt, or I couldn't imagine what it felt like. But it's an amazing thing. I love the fact that we're a resource to patients. I love that we can increase the baseline knowledge of health, skin health, as well as like the ability to age gracefully in the way that you want. Is such a blessing.
Yes, it is.
We actually offer a membership program that allows our members a monthly service, skincare service, so that because we understand, like you said, consistency is the foundation, right? Just like eating, just like exercise, with consistency in skincare, you're going to get results. So that piece is awesome, because we can see patients grow in their like trust and understanding and acceptance of like the next steps to get themselves to where they really want to be. It's amazing. On the flip side, exactly what you said, like entrepreneurship, excuse me, is super hard, sleepless nights. But I will tell you that I've never worked harder for something professionally, but also the grind is different because it's mine, and it's rewarding in a different way. And the energy, like the energy I have for work, I never had this energy before for somebody else's job, right? But it seems like this like limitless spring of energy, which may or may not be a good thing, but it's a blessing in terms of being able to grow. I've also really enjoyed the learning experience in this process. We're clinicians. I don't know if you have a business background in any way, but I certainly did not.
No.
And the learning curve in this past year, girl, what? Like, I feel like I need to be teaching somebody seminar somewhere.
Exactly, right. Because it's like, how did you make it? And it's like, just day to day, figuring it out every single day.
Absolutely. Tapping into that resourcefulness that we develop, one, as Black women, because we don't have a choice, but also as like healthcare providers, right? Because school was not easy. Getting through the programs, establishing ourselves as professionals. It's all such an upward climb. So I found myself like digging into that a whole lot as well. So I love that. I love to hear your story.
Me too.
It's so cool.
Like I love that too. It's incredible. And I think I always think about it as self-care.
Yes.
It's like, yes, like we do beauty, we do aesthetics, and it makes you feel good. But honestly, like when you look good, you feel good. And when I can change the way that you are feeling about yourself in a positive way, it's the best reward.
Yeah. And you vibrate differently, don't you?
Vibrate differently.
Yes. So where can people find you, Michelle?
My office is located in Foggy Bottom, but you can find me online at Michelle S. German, GermanAesthetics.com, Capital Aesthetic, DC, all those places.
Fantastic. And you can find me at Peel Haus. That's PELHAUS. So House spelled the German way, like Michelle German. .com, and at Peel Haus on all social channels. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing.
Awesome.
I love it.
I really enjoyed.
Thank you.